the future is now. Take a moment to think about it. The future is now. And this is actually, if anybody uses Keynote, this is a standard photo from Keynote that I just loved, so I kept it there. Good representation of the future. Anybody remember these telephones? I definitely remember them. A lot of young people here maybe never even used these telephones. This is what everybody had. Nobody here probably has one today. Has anyone used one of these today? You've used one today? Today? Yes? Wow, congratulations. So, these were mostly used in the past. They're still used a little bit today. But when the cell phone came along, just a few people started using them. They were expensive, they were different, they were strange, and why would anybody ever stop using this phone? We got this interesting little toy, but it's not going to take over this phone. Everybody's not going to switch from this phone to the cell phones. They're too expensive, right? Now everybody's using cell phones. Not only cell phones, we have smartphones that are basically computers that we stick in our pocket. This is an even older phone. Now tell me if you use this phone today. All right. Okay, good. I was wondering if someone had used the other one. So, this is a roll of film. Who has developed film like this this week? Nobody. But you know what? Kodak. Kodak. I saw Kodak on the way here. There's a Kodak stand somewhere. Kodak was major. The major film company making ridiculous amounts of money off of selling this kind of film. Kodak did not realize. Kodak did not realize that digital cameras were going to take over the market. So they didn't move in quickly enough. And Kodak went, and they crashed. Because they didn't see the future coming. They didn't see the future was already available in digital cameras, just a little more expensive at the time, and not familiar to people. So they didn't realize, with a few years, they were going to kill Kodak's industry. What is this? Can anybody see what this is? Not the little guy sitting on it, but anybody know what that is?
Oh yeah! Underwood!
That's a typewriter. Or, Roman, what is it?
It's Underwood typewriter.
Yeah, so I used this a little bit when I was younger. I remember these things getting stuck, driving me crazy when I was trying to write a paper for elementary school or something. Of course, at the time, computers, I don't even know if I knew what computers were when I was in elementary school. Just a handful of years later, who's used a typewriter today, this week, this month, this year? No, we have computers. So the future is now, but when I was a kid, I think 99% of people probably would think they were using typewriters for years to come. Who rode a horse to come to this summit? Yeah? I mean, it's great, but yeah, we don't ride horses for transportation much these days. And please tell me that's not the image you have of Americans. Is that the image? Is that what you thought when you heard an American was going to come here and talk to you? I hope not. Scary, yeah. But, at one time, everybody rode horses for transportation. This was how we got around. It was really one of the biggest things that changed that moved us to automobiles was Henry Ford. I don't know how much you learned about Henry Ford and the Model T here in Ukraine and the US. It's a big part of our history, so we have it in all the history books. But basically, Henry Ford pioneered a new model of manufacturing that allowed him to create the Ford Model T in a very affordable way for the mass market. And this is why this is a major reason why we have automobiles dominating our societies today, which is a problem we might talk about later. But Henry Ford, one of his most famous quotes, I think it's most famous because last night when I was typing in trying to find Henry Ford quote, this was the first one that came up. He said, whoa, that's taking a while. Okay, it's faster on the other computer. That's really different. Okay. If I had asked people what they wanted, if I had asked people what they wanted, they would have told me faster horses. So if he had just asked people, what should we get you to improve your transportation? Oh, get us faster horses. Yeah. So Henry Ford realized, this is not how it's supposed to look, by the way. Henry Ford realized that the future was not faster horses. The future was the automobile, and he created the future with the new manufacturing process, with innovative ideas about business and manufacturing. Yeah, I think I got the quote right, but I can't even read it. So the point is, the future is now with all of these technologies we just talked about. But the other point is that the future is also now with technologies that are about to disrupt the market. That's what we call it in economics. Technologies that are about to kill another film industry, typewriter industry, etc. Technologies that are about to dominate a new sector or even create a new sector. One example that I'm not going to show here is obviously Apple was very innovative with the iPhone and the iPad, and they created whole new markets. They're basically computers of a different type. Yeah, but in clean energy, we already have the future. We already have the technologies that will dominate the future of energy. Solar panels are one of them. This is actually a solar farm here in the Crimean region. This is a farm I visited yesterday, Pirovo Solar Farm. I don't know if anybody's been there. Who's visited the solar power plant? Yeah, a couple people, yeah. This was the largest solar power plant in the world when it was completed. Right now, you guys also have another plant that was the largest when it was completed, but it was completed earlier. But right now it's the sixth.
Keep away from this.
Okay. Right now it's the sixth largest solar power plant in the world. So, first of all, congratulations on Ukraine for being a leader in utility-scale solar power. Also, this is going to dominate the future of energy. Rooftop solar panels also. You guys have solar panels right here, of course, that are going to dominate.
But we don't have that strong roof.
Yeah.
So this ground.
There are solar panels that can that go on tents. They're flexible, lightweight solar panels, but they're not very efficient, so they're only really applicable in very off-grid situations, like the army uses them. Here's some wind turbines. These are from the bus I took from Wrocław, Poland to Warsaw, Poland. So wind turbines are here today. They are the future of energy. No question about it. Electric cars. The automobile space is a little more complicated. Some people think biofuels are going to dominate. Some people think hydrogen fuel cell vehicles are going to dominate. After studying, reading about this for years, talking with the experts, I'm pretty convinced that battery electric cars are the future of automobile transportation. Here's the Tesla Model S. The Tesla Model S, if you're not familiar with it, it has basically been named the best car ever created for mass market. Basically every major auto media network or company has said, this was the best car created in 2012. This was the best car I've ever driven. This is the best car created ever. Consumer Reports, which is in the United States, everybody uses Consumer Reports for independent evaluations of consumer products. They give extremely thorough reviews, and they are very trustworthy. Consumer Reports, they buy their products. They buy them and they keep them. So they bought a Tesla Model S. They tested it. When they rated it, they gave it the highest score they had ever given a car of any kind, 99 out of 100. They said it would have got 100, except that the EV charging network is not big enough yet. The EV charging network has probably doubled or tripled since that time, and it's going to grow dramatically. Also, I have beef with that kind of statement because every home has an EV charger. You can plug electric vehicles into your wall. So there are like millions of EV chargers. They're slower, so we need faster ones for a lot of people. But Tesla Model S is the best car ever created by most people's standards, and it's a fully electric car built from the ground up. The Nissan Leaf is a cheaper electric car, but built by Nissan, also built from the ground up. It's doing very well, very, very popular. in this space. BMW just released 2 electric vehicles. This one is the one on the bottom, BMW i8, it's an expensive luxury car. It's gonna be on sale next year. The BMW i3, a lower cost option. Fiat has a 500 electric. Basically, every automaker in the past 2 or 3 years has now created an electric car, fully electric or plug-in hybrid electric. But just like with the film industry, just like with typewriters, just like with horses, most people don't see the future is coming. Most people don't see the future is now with technologies that are so young as these. And there are very strong industries that don't want the future to come. They don't want the situation to change. The oil, the coal, and the natural gas industries are some of the richest industries in the world. Maybe the richest. Depends on. I think banking might top it. But basically, they're some of the richest industries in the world, and they're doing everything they can to prevent this future from coming faster. One of the big things they do is they put out a lot of misinformation. They fund think tanks that create reports that look like they're independent, but they're not, and they say bullshit basically about electric cars, solar panels, and wind turbines. They put out a lot of bullshit basically. So one of the main things I do in my job is try to inform people of the correct facts, the correct information, the correct situation today, and to address this kind of misinformation put out all around the world. Unfortunately, with the mass media, it's a very difficult industry right now. We'll talk about that more tomorrow. And reporters often don't have time to research things very well, so they'll just repeat what they hear from a fossil fuel-funded think tank. And basically that results in the masses, and most common people not realizing the situation today with solar, electric cars, and wind turbines. Also, the simple fact is, if we haven't learned anything about these technologies, and we haven't seen them, and we don't have friends who have them, we probably think, oh, well, those look cool, but, they're probably not going to be around, we probably won't be driving them or using them for the coming years. But as we've seen, once a technology really disrupts an industry, it grows very fast. And I'm a firm believer, and many analysts and experts in these fields are firm believers in the fact that electric cars, solar panels, and wind turbines are going to very, very quickly, they already are, but even more quickly grow. So, yes, we will. We will drive electric cars, we will have solar panels, and in 20 years we'll think back, 20 or 30 years we'll think, wow, people drove those gas mobiles, those gas cars that killed you. They put pollution in you that killed you. I think it's going to be, and they didn't realize electric cars were coming. People thought, oh, electric cars are not going to be around. I think people are going to look back just like we do with typewriters and with horses and with Kodak film and think, what were they thinking? Of course we were going to transition to electric cars and solar panels. But the focus here today is how we are going to do so. So there's no question in my mind we're going to transition to these clean technologies. But there are a lot of different options for how this is going to happen. And this is where people really have a lot of influence. This is where people like you could have a lot of power, a lot of influence in creating a more democratic energy system. I think, generally speaking, well, the situation today almost all around the world is that monopolies or semi-monopolies dominate the energy industry. They dominate, especially talking about the electric system, the grids. Basically, monopolies manage the grid and are regulated by governments. Governments do their best to make sure that we don't get ripped off, to make sure that we're getting a fair deal, to make sure that these monopolies are doing fairly good stuff. But it's a difficult thing for anybody to manage or regulate, and it's not a perfect system. Monopolies are what we call a market externality. It's a problem in the market that really creates problems for society. So, do you guys have Monopoly here? Do you have this game?
Yeah.
Okay. I figured it's pretty universal. So, we want to transition away from monopoly-based electric systems, in my opinion. I think I love, this is again that Perovo solar farm. I love the utility scale solar and wind power plants. You know, I write about them, I love visiting them, and I think they're important. They fit well into the utility scale business model. They fit pretty well. You have to have a lot of money to build a solar farm. You have to get a lot of money from investors. You can dominate the sale of electricity. It's better because it's still more distributed than the current system. But these utility scale wind farms and solar farms, you're not going to build one, probably. You're at least not in the way that they're currently being done for most places. So yeah, getting back to democracy. So everybody, I think, we're pretty big fans of democracy all over the world. Yeah, democracy is pretty cool. People govern themselves. People are in charge. Government for the people, by the people. So the question is, how do we democratize the electricity system? How do we make this electricity system a democratic system? Right now, you just buy electricity. You're not producing it. It's not electricity system by the people, right? No, it's not. So there are a lot of options for this. Rooftop solar panels on your homes. These allow you to become an energy producer. You become the electricity provider. You become a part of the system, not just buying from the system. So it's a very, I think the countries and the regions that promote rooftop solar power are going to have much more robust economies. They're going to have better, more informed citizens. They're going to have citizens who are profiting from the electricity they use, and that's going to help everybody. So I think promoting rooftop solar systems is a great way to go. Ukraine has a feed-in tariff, which we might talk about a little more, and in the past, from my understanding, it's mostly supported utility-scale solar projects, but it's just changed where you get a very good rate for electricity you produce from solar panels and sell to the grid now. I think starting in April, if I understand it, the green tariff. So I think you have a good system in place now to really grow the rooftop solar market. So my encouragement to you is to look into this. See how you can help people in your area to become aware of this. See how you can help people in your area to develop, to get solar panels on your roofs. Since this is a young market, young rooftop solar market, I'm sure there are very few companies serving citizens, even though there's a good rate now. So create a company. Go out there, get together, meet with people. Create a company to help put solar panels on your neighbor's rooftops, on your rooftops. Become a part of the democratic electricity system. Also with wind turbines. Wind turbines are very expensive. They're not cheap. They're big, the big ones. The big ones that are actually the useful ones. The smaller ones are quite popular with people who want to democratize the electricity system, but to be quite honest, they're not very efficient right now. Better to go with solar panels in almost all situations. The big turbines are extremely efficient. For new electricity, I think wind turbines provide the cheapest electricity in most places in the world, or at least many places. They're cheaper than natural gas, they're cheaper than coal. And this is even without taking into account the cost of pollution. So if you include the cost of pollution, they're like 3 or 4 times cheaper than coal. So they're being developed very quickly all around the world. They're dominating new electricity production, new power capacity. But like we said, those huge wind farms are developed by rich people who are going to dominate the system. But there's also the option for farmers to put a wind turbine on their farm. If you help people to learn about this, I'm not sure if the green tariff covers wind power. Does anybody know if the green tariff covers wind turbines, wind power?
Here in Ukraine, yes.
Yes. So again, with solar panels, help people to become aware of this opportunity to build a wind turbine on their farm or on their property or in their community. Help them to realize they can become a part of the electricity production system. Help people to realize they can make a lot of money producing clean energy. And you get more of these wind turbines on farms. They also help some agriculture because of the way they circulate the air. So they've been documented to help some types of agriculture. And I've seen no negative effects on agriculture. You can also get more, like I said, community scale projects. So say you don't have a farm, but you want to get some wind turbines in your area. Get together, form a group, find a way to together purchase wind turbines to put on some land, and then as a group you can profit from that and be creating more green electricity. This is extremely popular way of developing wind energy in Denmark. I think over 50% of wind energy is developed by basically citizens cooperatives. In the U.S. it's mostly just big businesses doing it, but also farmers are doing it, and a few cooperatives. Germany, this is very popular, but basically speaking, in most countries in the world, wind power and solar power are being developed by rich investors, by big companies, and it's great. I love it, but I think it'd be better if citizens did it more. Everyone would benefit more, including the society as a whole. A kind of trickle-up thing. So this is a community energy model here, just a diagram. Right here, you have a big building, maybe a community center, or a non-profit building, or a school. You put solar panels on it, it produces a lot of solar power. Together, you fund this. All of these houses are perhaps paying for that solar panel system. That solar panel system sends electricity back to the grid, and those houses that paid for that solar panel system, they get money for that. And this is possible in Ukraine. There's a fun story in Washington, D.C. Some residents of D.C. decided, hey, we want some solar panels, but we also want to get our neighborhood going solar. They formed a cooperative. Do you guys know the term cooperative? Can somebody explain what a cooperative is?
Чи знають в Україні, що таке кооператив? Друге питання, чи знають в Україні, що таке справжній кооператив? Я знаю точно, що Василь Прусак знає, він сьогодні про це розкаже. So we will have a speaker in cooperatives here.
Okay, cool, yeah. Excellent. So we'll have a cooperative speaker. So these residents formed a cooperative in a neighborhood in Washington, D.C. And together, they got an amazing percentage of the homeowners in their neighborhood to go solar. An amazing percentage. Because all they did, they got together, they had meetings, they talked to people, they put solar panels on the roof, they talked to more people, they said, hey look, we're going solar, this benefits you, you get money for this. Let's do it more, join our cooperative. And they had tremendous, excellent response. But I've seen this in very, 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 very few places. This is possible all over the place, but I've seen it in very few places. So again, what I'm telling you today, get together, form a cooperative, get solar panels across your neighborhood, across your state, your region, and you'll get a lot of media attention. We'll write about you for sure. We'll share it with the world, and you'll inspire more people to do this, just as this DC neighborhood did. Crowdfunding is a very interesting development, amazing development in the world today. Does anybody? Are you guys aware of crowdfunding? Kickstarter. Does everybody know Kickstarter, Indiegogo? I don't think everybody is, because this is still, the people who are very well aware of it, they think everybody knows, but not everybody knows. Could you maybe describe what crowdfunding is?
Ira Solovey, who will be speaking about Ukrainian crowdfunding platform Spilna Kosht, just arrived, so she will be speaking later today. So I think she will cover it greatly. Але краудфандинг – це якби цікава модель, відома під українським словом «Спільна кошт». Іра Соловей сьогодні про неї розкаже. Але I think generally people know the concept.
Okay. I know this is a much more progressive and educated group here, but just to be sure. So one company, one startup in the United States that has taken this model and applied it completely to clean energy, starting, I think, just with solar energy, is Mosaic. It used to be called Solar Mosaic. And they now fund big solar projects across the U.S. Well, they're starting in a few states. So now, these huge solar power plants are not just built by rich investors or big companies, but a lot of common citizens are building these together. Like one project here had 134 investors, this New York City project. It's a very complicated system to set up because there are a lot of financing and investing laws that they had to jump through. So they put a lot of work into doing this. I encourage it. I think it's a great way to go, but you're going to have to put in some time to do that. But I think it's another great option. And basically people can invest, I think, as low as $20 into a solar power plant. And it's actually an investment. It's not just a donation. You're not just giving money to charity, which is great. But these are investors, and the return on investment for solar power is excellent. It beats the S&P 500 in, I think, 13 U.S. states. The S&P 500 is highly regarded as a great investment option. I don't know the banking situation here, but probably you have CDs,
CDs, can you
certificates of deposit, that basically you put some money in the bank, you say, I'm going to leave this money in the bank for 1 year or 5 years or 10 years, and you get a better, you get more money back than a normal savings account. Solar panels on your roof, they beat CDs in 49 out of 50 states in the United States. It's a better investment. And I'm sure it's similar options around the world if you develop, well, just for rooftop solar alone, but also if you develop these kind of models, people like me who live in an apartment in a city who don't own the apartment or don't own a home with a roof, they can also invest in solar projects and get a good return on investment. So this is a great model. Hugely thankful for Mosaic for pioneering this. Solar leasing is another innovative model, very interesting model. They use the tax structure that supports solar power in the United States, and they use investment need for tax credits in order to develop solar panels on people's roofs. But the difference is the people don't buy these solar panels. So these solar panels, they get put on their roof, and the homeowners, they don't have to pay for the system, which is quite expensive up front. And in some cases, they even pay $0 up front, $0 from the beginning. And then for the next 20 years of their contract, they have lower electricity prices than they would be paying to the grid. So basically, these companies have found very interesting ways to develop solar in a way that people don't have to put money forward first. I was teaching English a bit for a few years, and there was a question that we would always ask people. It's like, would you rather have, oh, now I can't remember exactly the question, but it was something like, would you rather have $100 in 10 years or $10 today? And almost everybody would say like $10 today. I was always surprised. I was like, what, really? But actually it's true. People extremely underestimate the value of things in the future. We do this as individuals. We're just afraid, I guess, that we're going to, that something's going to change and it's not going to be worth as much, or, you know, hey, we could die if we're mortal. So we greatly underestimate the value of things in the future. We do this also societally. So, in the case of solar, like I said, the situation today, or in 2011 even, when the cost of solar was higher, the average American who went solar would save about $20,000 over 20 years. That's a really good savings, really great investment. But people weren't taking advantage of this opportunity. So some companies came along and they developed this solar leasing model where they buy the solar panel systems. They get investors to help them buy them because they're buying a ton of them. They put them on your roof, and in some cases you pay $0 up front, or maybe you pay a little bit of money up front, and then forever into the future, I think, or at least, you know, for the next 20 years on average, you save money on your electricity bill. You get a much smaller electricity bill. You stop paying the electric company, you pay the solar, well, you also pay them, but you pay the solar leasing company less than you would pay for electricity. So in the end, in 20 years, you're saving money. You're not going to probably save as much money. It depends, it's complicated, but you might not save as much money if you bought the solar system yourself, if you got a loan from the bank. maybe and bought them. But basically, you're saving a lot of money over 20 years, and you don't have to put any money or just very small amount of money up front. So because of the way we're wired, because we think, the money is worth so much more today than it will be in the future, this has been extremely attractive for many people. In California, which has this system, 75% of homeowners who go solar now go solar using this model. In states where this model rolls out, people basically, it's the same percentage. So it's a very complicated system underneath it all, because they have, like I said, they have to get investors, they have to use the tax credits in a way that makes sense, they have to finance these, and they have to make money in the long term, not just right in the first year, the solar leasing companies. But it's a very successful model. So it's another example of great innovation. Again, it shows that even though the U.S. doesn't have a feed-in tariff, it has a solar tax credit, solar policies that have allowed entrepreneurs to create a system like this and profit from it while helping the world and helping citizens. So one lesson, yeah, you might want to try to replicate this model, but I think the broader lesson really is that, look for innovative solutions, look for new solutions, look for interesting ways that fit your tax situation, that fit your laws, that fit your country, that fit your neighborhood, that fit your house to go solar or go wind. I've got a problem here. It's not moving forward. Okay, so I have a little story. You're supposed to tell stories when you give speeches, and I probably should have done that more, but when I was in middle school, when I was, 12 or 13 or 14 or something, we had to do a science project. I think it's probably the same in Ukraine. You had to come up with some idea for a science project to test using the scientific method. My mom, I think, helped me, and we came up with an idea. We would plant 3 groups of peas, I think pea sprouts. We would poison one, give it some kind of poison. We would poison 2 of them, sorry. The other one was just normal. One of the ones we poisoned, that was it. It was poisoned, yeah. And the other one that we poisoned, we gave it a homeopathic remedy, if I remember correctly, to see if homeopathics actually worked. From my understanding, there's no real scientific evidence or consensus on this topic, but I was raised using homeopathics, and my mom has helped me through many things, I think, with them, in my opinion. So, well, we got a problem here. I don't have the charts, but basically what happened is the group that was poisoned, the group that was given the medicine, it grew more or less like normal. The 4 plants that were given the medicine more or less grew like the control group, the normal plants. The plants that were given them poison but not the medicine, one of them, barely got off the ground. Another one, barely got off the ground. The third one grew about 5 or 6 times higher than any of the other plants of any of the groups. It was like a freaking giant. It was like insane growth. And the third one, again, almost didn't grow. So of course, the one lesson is that the homeopathics seemed to help the plants that were poisoned. But the other lesson is that even in poisonous environments, even in corrupted environments, even in polluted environments, you can succeed. You can have amazing success if you somehow find a new way of doing things. We don't really know what the hell that plant did, but it did something differently that not only made it grow, but made it grow to a tremendous degree. So it did something amazing. It did something different. And the lesson is that, people can do that too. I think all my... Oh, here they are. Yeah, so so here's, these are the ones that got the medicine. Here are the ones that were poisoned, didn't get the medicine, and the one that... And this is not actually data, but this is what I remember, more or less. Success. Do you know this this baby? It's a famous internet baby. Success. So people who have done that, we talked about earlier, Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs created something amazing, not just in technology but also in business models. Elon Musk. Elon Musk was the founder of PayPal, co-founder, and then he made billions of dollars, and he invested basically all that money. I think he went broke and was sleeping on a couch at some point. He invested all that money into starting Tesla, that car company earlier who we said created the best car basically ever created. So he co-founded this. He's the chief architect and the CEO. He also founded SpaceX, a private rocket ship company that NASA now contracts for space rocket work. Amazing guy. He's insane. He's going to be in the history books. Nikola Tesla. I don't know if you guys know Nikola Tesla, but he's a star in a lot of circles, and that's basically the reason Tesla is called Tesla. So these people exist. These people have existed at all times. They come along and they create something amazing. They look at new ways of doing things. They look at new solutions. They find new ways of improving the world. And it's really, it's very easy to look at them and say, oh, those are amazing people. Wow, and think they're completely different from us. These are humans. These are humans that, started out in the same way as all of us. So the message is, try to find new solutions. Try to find innovative ways of doing things. Work with people. Invest your time, invest your money in doing something that you believe in, that you think has a future. Of course, think critically. Do good research. But, there could be an Elon Musk or Steve Jobs or Nikola Tesla right here in this camp. So believe in yourself. Give it a shot if you have a good idea. I'm sure there were a lot of people with good ideas who didn't do anything. Thomas Edison, one of the famous American inventors, he had a quote in 1931. He said, "We are like tenant farmers chopping down the fence around our house for fuel, when we should be using nature's inexhaustible sources of energy, sun, wind, and tide. I would put my money on the sun and solar energy. What a source of power. I hope we don't have to wait until oil and coal run out before we tackle that." Thomas Edison in 1931 said, use solar energy. It's better. This is a very interesting research graph. This shows how much energy potential comes from different energy sources. Interestingly, for fossil fuels, this is their total energy potential from what we know is available, it could be recovered from the earth. For renewable energies, this is their energy potential every year. Every year. So this is total for fossil fuels, this is every year for renewable energies. This yellow thing is not the background. That is the sun. That is solar energy. The solar energy potential every year is tremendously greater than all the fossil fuels we've ever used. It's greater than the fossil fuel resources we have available forever. So, yeah, Thomas Edison knew what was up. He said, use solar energy, don't be a dumbass, right? It took us a long time. Took us a long time to make solar energy market work for the market. But as I said, today the average savings in the United States are about $20,000 over 20 years if you go solar. In California, it's about $40,000. In New York, it's almost $40,000. In Florida, it's about $40,000. So you save $40,000 in 20 years just by putting solar panels on your roof. And Texas, it's a little lower. They have a different market. Hawaii is the most attractive market in the U.S. I was just talking with a participant here today who has been to Hawaii, and she said she went to Hawaii. The last time she went to Hawaii, last month, there were so many more solar panels on roofs than she had seen before. They have almost $70,000 savings by putting solar panels on the roof, becoming a democratic participant in the energy system, because solar potential is so great today, and because electricity is extremely expensive in Hawaii, because it takes a lot of money to ship fossil fuels to an island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean.
One person saved $1,000.
One person. Yeah, one person. This is a saving. If I'm a homeowner and I put solar panels on my roof, this is how much I save in 20 years.
Many years.
20 years. This is the average. And this average is from 2011, and the price of solar has dropped like this. So actually the savings are probably much better. But it depends on incentives. I think we're done, but this is just an excellent billboard that a solar organization put up in the United States. It says, I think if they put it up maybe a year after the BP oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico, it says, when there's a huge solar energy spill, it's just called a nice day. Yeah. So we didn't even talk about the environmental side of this, but environmentally it's very clear that solar energy and wind energy are by far the best options. There's also some minor ones like geothermal, tidal energy, but the ones that are available for a good price today, mass market, are solar energy and wind energy. And they don't create oil spills in the Gulf of Mexico, and they don't give you lung pollution, and they don't make you die early. So this is my main website that I direct, cleantechnica.com. It's the most popular clean tech focused website in the world. We have a lot of great content every day about these topics, and we have a lot of resources that go into what I talked about today, and as well as a lot more. Clean Technica is part of Important Media. It's a very innovative, socially progressive media network that has about, I think today, 19 blogs focused on different niche topics. So Clean Technica has one focused on the topic of clean tech. It's sort of our anchor blog. But the network is doing great stuff. Check it out. I'm also the publishing manager at Important Media. Planet Save is another website I direct. This is about green topics in general and about science in general. So there's a lot of science news, really fun, interesting science stories and animal stories, and also green stories. Ecopreneurs is another website I direct. I have a lot of hats. Ecopreneurs, I'm sort of an interim director here. This is a website basically about the kind of thing Roman here is doing with Greencubator and what you guys, I think, are working on this weekend with your projects. This is a website about people who are creating new startups, new Teslas, new Apples, new Facebooks, etc., that have a focus on helping the world environmentally or socially. There's another slide, I think, maybe not. Oh. I also founded 3 websites, and I'm the founder of these websites. These websites are probably soon going to join Important Media, but it's in the process right now. But one is EV Obsession. It's focused on electric vehicles. One is Solar Love, focused on solar energy. And one is Bikosity, focused on bikes and cities, because this was my previous expertise before I somehow became a global leader on solar and electric vehicles. Thank you very much. I've been having an amazing time here in Ukraine, amazing time in Kiev and down in Crimea. I'm extremely not just interested but inspired by what I've seen, what Roman has shown me in Kiev and down here in Crimea. I think you guys have amazing potential. This community here looks superb, and I really, you probably thought I was talking out of my ass when I talked about, hey, you could be the next Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, Nikola Tesla, but really, these people come from somewhere, and I think this is as good a place as any that someone like this could sprout up. So be that pea sprout that somehow came out of a system that wasn't working and created a bright future for the world. Thank you very much.